Water is so fundamental to our lives and all of life on Earth. And we can't really know exactly what the future is going to hold, but we know that as long as there are plants and animals and people living on this earth, they're going to need water. And what we can do is everything in this lifetime to make sure that we're using our water responsibly, that we're planning for the protection of our water resources to ensure to the best of our ability that those future generations have the water that they need.
It's a dream that I've always had to have a piece of property that was in the mountains. 1988, we came to visit and really liked it. Decided a year later in '89 we'd make the move and just see how it turned out, and have never turned back. Me and my son were motoring up Waxahachie Creek one day. This one area was significantly cooler. My son found where the springs actually boil out of the ground. The experiences have been wonderful, except for an issue we've been having with the water flow. You know, there's something going on here that's really devastating to this area, to this incredibly diverse little oasis that we have here.
There are so many issues facing Alabama environmentally. Large amounts of clean water are essential to life in Alabama. We've always had a massive water resource, and all of the species here that have created these very efficient systems at filtering water and producing this really stable environment in Alabama rely on access to clean water.
We plan for things like hurricanes and tornadoes. We plan for our retirement. Some people are just working hard to plan for the next day. So this is our time right now in Alabama to plan for the future of our water resources.
When it comes to the water that is distributed through our rivers and streams that we use for drinking water and all the other uses, that is a finite amount. And it's always amazing to me what an infinitesimal amount of the total amount of the water on this earth that is that we deal with.
We have amazing family times down here. We were getting ready to have one. I happened to come down in the morning, and my heart sank. The stream was completely gone. I called the water board in a panic, was told that they had nothing to do with the draining of the creek. Well, we found out that our local water board has 5 wells just up the creek from here. The next year, same thing. It was almost completely dry. I ran down very quickly to talk to the president of the water board and told him, turn your wells off now, you're going to have another massive fish kill. The response was, we're in a drought. We were in the most severe drought in 30 years. But I knew better because I knew what I had seen the year before. About 11 o'clock in the morning, I had to go to work. I got a call from the Coosa River keeper. He said, there's water in this creek, it's not dry. They decided to leave the wells off. Every bit of water you see here is flowing directly out of the ground up at the spring itself. That's a man-made drought when they suck this thing dry.
If you think about it, it's not dissimilar of a public resource as roads. So if somebody who just owned a piece of land next to a road went and gated off the whole road, that'd be insane. But that's essentially what we're doing with our streams. We're allowing people to suck an entire public resource dry and nobody else can use it.
We have some really complicated issues that we're trying to address, threats that we're trying to address to resources that are fundamental to our lives and our economy and our communities and our fun.
Alabama essentially is a state with 21st century problems that has 19th century law governing it. They involve a state that was much less populous, much less developed, and they certainly involved a state that wasn't facing problems from long-term environmental changes.
We all know with climate change, these droughts can become much more severe. We can have repetitive droughts, which could be disastrous. One of the goals was to increase the public awareness of the importance of water. We do have growing needs, but we've got to be able to balance those uses against the fact we have this limited water resource.
Under the common law, the way to deal with drought is everybody shares the shortage. If it's a moderate drought, we all might cut back 20%. If it's a severe drought, we might all cut back 50%.
But the fact is, you can't wait till you get into a drought situation and be suffering those kind of consequences. You need to be prepared for that in advance.
Most of the cases that are currently applicable to Alabama water law were decided in the 1800s. And the big picture is if you have a right under the common law and you want to enforce it, you have to sue somebody who's violating that right.
We know that consumptive use is an issue. How much consumptive use does it take in conjunction with a drought to hit the tipping point, breaking point?
If you're a farmer and you are growing your crops and all of a sudden someone upstream starts withdrawing water in a way that harms your crops will die by the time you even hire a lawyer to sue the person who's violating your rights.
All of our neighboring states are further along than we are in planning for the protection of the flows of our rivers and streams. A good number of our neighboring states and other states in the country have comprehensive water plans that are governing how they manage their water use and their water supplies to sustain them for the future.
You can look at your dashboard, you can see your gas tank, you can see how fast you're going. Unfortunately, we don't have that in the case of water usage. You don't know how you're using the water, how fast it's being used by all the users. You don't know what that big tank of water out there, which is essentially the environment. A water management plan that's going to put those types of indicators together and give us a water management dashboard.
A water plan is not a small undertaking. We have got to put some procedures in place and some policies in place that are going to, one, hold us more accountable for the water that we use, provide the authorities for state level oversight of that water use so that the accountability is there and we know how much we're using. A water plan also must consider how we're going to decide what to do when we have problems. Fundamentally underlying all of the aspects of a water plan are the protection of the natural systems that supply us with water. These are just like any other system that needs caretaking in order to provide us what we need from it, as well as to be able to continue to perform its natural function.
Along with other landowners on this creek, we have been frustrated for years by this type of thing going on. When you go to your state and nobody has anything to say to you, there's no help, there's no place to turn.
We know it's important. With 132,000 miles of rivers in our state, it's hard to believe that we can't come together and come up with something as important as a water management plan to help keep this state looking forward for the needs of the water resources we have.
I'm hopeful that we can get a water plan passed and that we can start treating this resource for what it is and actually value it for what it's worth. It's just a question of how far are we going to let this go? How bad are we going to let this get? How many more species are we going to allow to go extinct here?
The water planning effort in Alabama is a work in progress. The good news is we've made a lot of progress over the last several years. Our state agencies have been working hard to assess our water, how much we have and how much we might need in the future.
But to think that we can't move their recommendations based on a lot of input from all over the state to get a bill moving and get a water management plan approved is still very frustrating for people like me who see what the benefits could be.
What we need going forward to make this happen, one, we've got to have large water users such as agriculture, industry, electric utilities, water utilities, come to the table willing and ready to discuss the challenges with environmental interests, with the citizens of Alabama, with recreational interests. We've all got to work together. The second thing we need is political leaders who are going to champion this. Invest the money we need to make this happen, provide the support and authorities to the state agencies in order for them to do what they need to do to make this happen. The way that we are going to get those first two things is by the people of Alabama getting involved, getting engaged, informing themselves about these issues, and letting their elected officials know how important they are. Everyone needs to be talking about this. This is our water. This is our life. And we've all got to push forward to make this happen.
There's nothing like being able to bring your grandkids down to a place like this and watch them swim and frolic around in the water, splash and just laugh. But when it comes to things like this with the water, we need people to regulate it. We need enforcers, we need people and a system and a government that is looking out for the people and their water. You know, if I'm dumping stuff in my stream or creating a dam that's going to destroy the stream, then call me on it. You know, don't just allow this to continue going on, because it's going to destroy everything that we have. I mean, water's the source of life. That's one thing we need to regulate and keep on top of and keep clean and keep flowing.
Rivers have been around a long time, and they're going to be around a long time. And we want to keep them in a condition that our great-great-grandchildren are going to want to see and enjoy the same way we have. So we want something that's sustainable, not just for us, but for our future generations.